All right, so we have our two surfaces, our subsurfaces, right? They're basically just kind of like a lofted surface at this point. So what we have to do is subdivide them in order to create the cross member webbing. Um, the cross member webbing is going to be, I'll say, I guess, easier to set up at first, and then we're going to have to kind of go back a step in order to get our singular line work to use that for the suspension structure. So I probably really confused you by saying that now that I think of it, but yeah. Anyway, so let's first just kind of subdivide it, right? So I'm going to go up to math domain divide domain squared. And this is also going to use isotrim, as I mentioned before. So surface utility isotrim. This one is not going to be reparametrized. So make sure that you just put this whole triangular configuration together. And let's do a slider. And these sliders are going to be from 0 to, I guess let's just do like a range of like 6 to 8. It doesn't really matter all that much. So I'll just say 0 to 8 for now. So the key is, just like we did with the reparametrized isotrim, where it maxed out in one direction, we're going to do that same thing here. Because we only have one width of cross members. So basically, like the X only happens once. There's no middle member that connects it. So that just means it's one cell wide. So let's bump this up and make sure that, see how the V count is changing how many cells it is wide? So that means your V count should be 1. And your U count is what's going to change. So I'm not sure exactly how many it's going to wind up being. 4 is probably too little. 5 is probably what it actually has, approximately. Turn that off for confusion's sake. And we can do the same thing with the other side. So I'll copy this subdivide surface down, and I don't have to copy the divide down. I just need to replace the surface, so I'll just do it on both sides. And then for the cross members. So the cross members are going to be remarkably easy. All we have to do is get the 4 corner points of each of these panels, and then we have to map a line to each, opposing point on the diagonal, which is just another series of list items. And so the list items are going to have to be off of a deconstruct brep. So I'll deconstruct this like that. And the vertices are what I'm operating on. So I'll go to, in fact, I can just copy the list item functions again from over here. I'll just copy all these, all of them. And then just plug vertices in to each one. So now we've got, let me turn this off so I can see a little better. Turn these on. So we've got the bottom right corner here on the first panel and subsequent panels. And then we have the bottom left corner, first panel, and subsequent panels. That's okay, but they're adjacent to one another. So I want to move this one down. And then this one is the top right corner, which is adjacent, or which is opposite of the 3. So those two are a pair, right? So I've got opposite, opposite. And then these two are a pair. This one is, you can't really see it, but these are opposites. So now I'm going to just map a curve to either one. So I'll just do a line that connects the two. And you can see that that successfully goes across the surface. Do the same thing down here, and you can see that that successfully creates my X. So what's my next step? Easiest step in the whole book. Not much detail associated with these items, right? They're just straight elements. So, pipe. So just go to surface, freeform, pipe, and I don't really care. I don't really care whether or not what radius you use or if they get thinner. In reality, they probably will get a little bit thinner, but they're going to be all relatively thin anyway. So I'm going to plug in these curves, and then set a radius that's reasonable. So 0 to 0.55 to 1. And when you turn off the earlier stuff, you can see it a little better. Something like this. And then I'll turn on the loft as well. So there you can see that relationship starting to develop. So now the other side needs to be mapped, and so I'm basically going to try and think through whether or not I have to map this entire segment again, or if I can just, I mean, I could just copy and paste this whole thing down and have it go twice, or maybe I can mitigate some of the issues. But if I copy and paste this deconstruct brep and see if I can just add in this next set, and then I'll just have, you know, dual mini sets going across. In fact, this is probably a good time because I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to create a loop. This is a great time to save. So I'm going to File, Save Document, and put in a location for you guys to access later on. Week for day 2, Cordoba Bridge. And I'm just going to start adding these in. I don't know if it's actually going to work properly this way. No, doesn't look like it wants to. Yeah, it doesn't want to pass it through as two groups. So you're probably better off just copying and pasting the whole thing down. So this might go up like that.
You could add it into the other the deconstruct brep if you shift.
Oh yeah, you're right. I can go back there. There you go. Yeah, sorry. Good call. Okay, so this might change a little bit, but the cool thing about this, at least on the larger scale of structural consideration, is that my essentially all of my parameters now can be instantly changed. I just wanted to, well, the curve, I didn't set the curve up to be a smart extrusion, so I'm not going to bother with that one right now. But I can go back to my offset and just change how high it is, and the whole thing is going to modify with it. And I don't know about you, but I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so are there any questions about this right now? Okay.